possible, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. We have Chris Clark in the studio. Chris is the superintendent of Kincaid School District. How are you today, Mr. Clark?
Doing well, Tim. Thanks for having me again, buddy.
Without a doubt. Really good to have you in the studio with us, and always good to be speaking to our superintendents. You guys make for a great show. Let's get right into it right here. Talking a little bit about school improvement in this 2023-2024 season. An update on that. How's the school improving?
Yeah, we're doing some big things. Last year, our junior senior high was identified as a target school by ISB. Target school means we were comprehensive. We were doing what we needed to be doing, but some individual groups were identified as some struggling areas that we need to take a look at. So we did a year of planning for that last year, kind of what we need to do, where are some of our focuses. Some of that planning brought out that truancy was a big issue with inside our district. Also curriculum-wise, we had to take a strong look at some of the stuff that we had at the junior senior high. Some of the books were back from when I even went to school there, but definitely the curriculum was a big side of it that we started looking at. And this year, our school improvement team at the junior senior high is kind of, they're now in the planning stage of just about ready to order some new curriculum after kind of a year of research to see what best fits our teachers, our students, our community, and stuff like that. So hopefully we're ready to move here in the near future on some new ELA curriculum, as well as some science and possibly some social studies to go with it.
Some great movement there. You get notified that you're a target school and immediate action is taken to start that planning. That's really cool. We've never talked about this on a morning show before, but you mentioned curriculum right there. You choose specific curriculums based on data, based on what you guys need, I'm sure. How does that work?
Sure. Curriculum, you say curriculum, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is textbooks, what you're going to teach and all that other stuff. We're firm believers in the textbooks and everything are just a supplement to your curriculum. What the teachers bring into the classroom in a whole creates the curriculum for the classroom. So yeah, the book is a resource that you use, but those life experiences that teachers bring into the things they can talk about, things that they can lecture outside of the book, the internet has opened up so many things, especially when you start talking about like science and social studies with stuff. One of the big focus has turned to more primary reading now. When you're looking at things, reading for facts, reading, nonfiction material. Everybody when they were little liked to pick up the books to read that were fun and fictionary and stuff like that. So the true focus is can you pick up a science article, read it, and get the information out of it? And how do you decode that? How do you break it down and everything? So really your science and social studies turn into more ELA stuff because now you're reading for information to learn, to grow, and not just, so to say, memorizing facts and all that other stuff. You're learning to be a lifelong learner from reading.
Yeah, that is a huge undertaking there. It's pretty tough to get students to, because the first battle is learning to read. Then you got to learn to read critically, and you have to learn to pull those facts out right there. So you really mentioned that a lot of the curriculum, it's on the instruction, it's on the educator themselves right there. So is there meetings? Is there that formal? Hey, we're kind of switching up the way we're providing this information.
Yeah. From the start, we created a school improvement team at the building level. Principal Grohl and Assistant Principal Mrs. I have been really instrumental of setting up that team and working with them and developing things. I know we did talk a lot about curriculum. That was just one of our major goals that we had. We had 3 goals set out. Curriculum was the big one, obviously. Truancy was a big one, and social emotional that deals with behavioral of our students as well. Those were 3 big target areas that we kind of identified at the beginning of the year, wanted to track and see how we do those, because obviously curriculum and instruction's everything that you have, but if a kid's not present in the classroom, they're truant, they're not getting that instruction, they're not getting that material that day. Or if the social emotional side of it, if their brain's not ready to learn, if they're going through some stuff at home, or even if they're getting in trouble in the classroom and getting removed from the classroom on a in-school suspension or something like that, those are opportunities that, again, are taken away from the social or the learning side of it. So we want to make sure kids are in the classroom and we have the curriculum to best utilize the time that they're in those classrooms with it. So.
I'm just glad I'm not in on these meetings and I'm not making any decisions, because you have to take so many factors into account right here. Of course, the educational side, your curriculum, you got to get that. You're also thinking about how students are responding to this curriculum through their emotions that day. You have to take these into account, because then that leads to truancy. Like you just said, all three goals kind of pair up with each other nicely. It's just it's a vicious cycle right there when a kid's not getting what they want from the classroom, and then the truancy factor is even stronger. It's taking them out of the classroom. So there's probably so much conversation, so much deliberation over, how can we get all facets involved here?
Sure. And one of the biggest things that we focus on is making that time, the 45 to 50 minutes that they're in there, interesting, fun for them. So they're wanting to wake up and come to school, wanting to do those things, because unfortunately right now we see that truancy is an epidemic across the state of Illinois. I mean, you hear ISB talking about some of the different things that we have with it. COVID kind of put some stuff onto us that obviously maybe not have taken a day off just with the little bitty sniffle or something like that now, but everybody, anytime something comes up, I got a little cough here, I'm just getting over something, but it hammered our elementary, I know, with sickness this past month. We've been hit with things, and those are days that definitely count against truancy, but the days that you can fight through and get to school, those are the days we want people there, because that's where they're going to learn, is in the classroom.
Yeah, it hurts to hear that the elementary school was being hit hard with the truancy as well. Talk to me how important that is. The younger kids, they got to be in the classroom, they got to start building that regiment.
Yeah, and for them, structure and just building that time over time. You can see a big difference when we come back from a holiday break, like it's Thanksgiving, or, we got spring break coming up, trying to refocus those kids after a simple 3-day weekend is sometimes challenging, so those days that they miss, it just kind of resets the clock for them and everything else. So, we set up to where when we come back from our winter break, that's usually 2 weeks long, we almost treat it like it's a brand new start of the school year, where we're refocusing, reteaching some expectations, doing things, because that time outside of the classroom, they get unstructured necessarily, and you just get them refocused to what's expected of them.
Sure. I feel as though the educators almost need to enter into these after break first day with that new sense of just a refresh day, guys. We're back in the classroom, but we're going to start new, with a new focus and such. The kids are going to be able to see that in their educators, and their performance in the class is probably reflected by that.
Oh yeah, and I would say every day is almost a fresh start for them. I mean, you got some kids that you don't know where the trauma they're getting, what they're coming from, dealing with different things on a day-to-day basis. You don't know how they're coming in. You might have had a very rough day with a kid the day before, just because some circumstances that are out of our control. You take that next day as a very new day, and kids see that kind of stuff, and they appreciate those kind of things when you're able to do those as an educator.
Absolutely. Just such an important position these educators are in, through K through 12. They can change a student's day just with one interaction right there. So we're talking right now with Chris Clark, Kincaid School District Superintendent. It's been a great conversation so far. We're going to take ourselves a little break here. Thanks so much to the sponsors that make the show possible: People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. My name is Tim Zalabak, and you are listening to WTIM, your information station. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn and beans steady at this hour. Wheat trading lower. March corn up half a penny, 408 3/4. May corn up a penny, 424 1/2. And December new crop, 460 1/4, up 1/4. March beans 11.29 1/4, down 2 pennies. May beans down 1 1/4, 11.39 1/2. November new crop 11.30, up 1/4. March Chicago wheat 576 3/4, down 9 1/4. July wheat down 8 1/4, 578. March bean meal 3.30 even, up 2.20. March bean oil down 37 cents, 44.54. Livestock market, March feeder cattle 251.65, down $1.35. February live cattle 185.32 down 27 cents. April lean hogs 85.85 down a nickel. Energy market April crude oil 79.40 up 53 cents. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
There's only one Central Illinois radio station that brings you the memories of the 60s and early 70s as you are cruising down the streets of your hometown. The dial position is 98.3 FM. The station is 98.3 WSVZ. From Macon to Vandalia and I-55 to I-57, cruising 98.3 plays the hits from early Elvis in the 60s to the British invasion of the Beatles, Herman's Hermits, and many more from the 1960s. Then we swing into the early half of the 1970s with artists like the Guess Who, the Doobie Brothers, and Elton John. Every song brings back something you remember about growing up. Set a button and crank up the station, playing good time rock and roll from the Tower of Power, cruising 98.3 WSVZ.
CNB Bank and Trust has been helping open doors for Central Illinois farmers since 1854. Find out why they're among Illinois' top ag lenders by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Reddings of the Bob Reddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to WTIM, your information station. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Before we continue with this great conversation, let's thank our sponsors that make it possible. People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. We're speaking with Chris Clark, Kincaid School District Superintendent. That first half, we talked about Kincaid School District being notified as a target school and their plans on navigating that situation and combating it. We talked a little bit about truancy and how you guys have been dealing with that since the COVID era. It hits you guys hard. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys have been doing to end the truancy and really get kids back in school where they belong.
Yeah, our junior senior high really did a good job the past couple months here, focusing on the importance of it. Obviously identifying it, tracking it with the kids, talking to the kids about it. Just last month, they kind of had an incentive program, a target area for perfect attendance. Within that month, it was like 58% of our kids achieved perfect attendance, which is don't sound like much with 58%, but that's a really good mark to hit with it. They got a new one starting up this month, so we're drawing attention to it. We make it important to kids. Kids start to see the stuff, the posters in the hallway, the things like that, and once it becomes important to them, then that translates into action actually taking place with it. So like I said, they've done a really good job of identifying that and bringing out the light to the kids of how important it is with it.
Absolutely. The incentive's one thing. It's really drilling into these kids' minds how important their attendance is in school. I feel like if you had that data in other schools, it would be hard to reach a much higher number than 58%. You got kids missing days for random things. So that's a great number you guys have gotten to right there.
We really think so. We're proud of it, but hopefully, we talk here, and you kind of started it out with saying, Kincaid was identified as a target school. Sometimes that's a hard term to hear that you're identified as a target school, but in some lights it's very good, because no matter if you're target school or you're the number one school in Illinois, however you look at it, you should always be looking to ways to improve your school. So this just gave us the light that, hey, we need to improve some things, and it gave us reason to improve. Not saying that we shouldn't have been doing these things before, but it definitely draws to that. And no matter what kind of numbers we start getting with this, we should always still look to continuously change and get better at what we do, and not say, hey, this is good, we got to a good number we want. No, we'd like to see that number at 100%. Is it realistic? Who knows? But you should always strive for that we see.
Without a doubt. And just like you said, every school out there has room for improvement. A lot of the things were out of your guys' control with it, a smaller community, with the pandemic and all of these things. Older books, you got things like that action needed to be taken on, and action was taken. That's really great. You mentioned that when you were speaking on truancy, you talked to kids. You had to get just a general idea of, you're not going to have the best idea of, if there is trauma going on if you don't actually talk to them. And that probably brings up social, emotional things that happen throughout the school day and even at home. So talk to me a little bit about those numbers within social, emotional health.
Sure. Like I said, we got a great team together with social, emotional that are doing really good jobs working with kids. One thing that we look at for the social, emotional data side of it's kind of discipline. Yeah. At the junior, senior high, we have seen a dramatic drop in the number of discipline referrals throughout the office. Like at this time last year, just throw out an example, we're probably dealing with 100 office referrals from January till now. At the last board meeting, our assistant superintendent or assistant principal reported to us that they had 6 office referrals at the junior, senior high. And that's just a testament to the job that they're doing, reaching those kids before it gets to a point of discipline referrals and stuff like that. And I know we've talked a lot about the junior, senior high. Our elementary is going through the same stuff and doing it. They were identified this year, so they're in their planning period with it. I know they just formed their school improvement team looking at the things that they can do, and we got some great ideas to start with and go with that level too.
Yeah, one school has already done it. They can use some of the ideas over for the elementary school. And that's going to be really great right there. And that's a really easy number to look at right there and say, we're doing something right.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of credit goes to the kids.
Yeah.
Kids are falling in line. Kids are doing what they need to do, but they don't just do that because of something outside of what we're doing. What we're doing changed that and made it work.
Of course, it's a team effort right there. I love it over there at Kincaid School District, moving in the right direction here. Anything more to talk on that social, emotional health there?
Social, emotional, like I said, it's always consistent. It's always there. We always want to help kids get to where they need to get to deal with them. I mean, adults deal with things. We want to help our teachers, how they deal with some of the stressors that they bring in their life as well. Because if they're not prepared to deal with it, how do they deal with the kids dealing with it? So it's an always topic that we're studying, we're learning more about, and trying to get better at every single level that we have with it.
So great, and so much attention, care placed on the entire Kincaid School District, from the administration to the educators to the students there, everyone getting involved and on the right path there. Just really awesome here. We're in our last about minute and a half right here, Mr. Chris Clark. So anything else we want to talk about? I heard there was some recent success athletically over there.
Yeah, I heard this morning that our 7th grade girls, they're the Edinburgh junior high volleyball team, but we co-op with them and go over there, and I did hear that they won a regional title last night. So that's some great news, some good promise for the future of the volleyball program, and fits right along with the success we're having, because our high school girls just finished their season up with the most wins in school history. So and we got some really good things happening in all facets of it. Once you start having success in the classroom, the extracurriculars are just an extension of that classroom, and you start seeing the successes there. And it's a pleasure to sit back and see kids having success, coaches, teachers having success.
Absolutely. Success out on the playing field, and it's translating into the classroom. Those work hand in hand. I absolutely love that.
For sure.
Mr. Chris Clark, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. That was Chris Clark, Kincaid School District Superintendent. I thought I would have it good on the third segment here. I've been Tim Zalavac here on the WTIM Morning Show. Thanks so much to the sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. You have been listening to WTIM, your information station.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W2.